Today we travel a few miles north toward what we know as Nazareth. The Whitefield house is a stone building measuring 56 feet long and 35 feet wide. It is named for George Whitefield, who hired a group of Moravians from Georgia to build the house as a school for orphaned slaves. Only a foundation was built, however, after theological disputes between Whitefield and the Moravians caused the group to purchase the town of Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. It was here they established a Moravian community. When Whitefield went bankrupt, the Moravians purchased 5,000 acres of land from him, which would later become the town of Nazareth. They completed the Whitefield house in 1743, just in time for it to be used as a home for 32 couples coming over from England. The house has been in Moravian hands for years and is operated as a place of worship, boarding school, place for mission work, nursery, the Moravian Theological Seminary, and apartments for furloughed missionaries.
Largely forgotten today, George Whitefield was probably the most famous religious figure of the 18th century. Newspapers called him the marvel of the age. Whitefield was a preacher capable of commanding thousands on 2 continents through the sheer power of his oratory. In his lifetime, he preached at least 18,000 times to perhaps 10 million hearers. George Whitefield was born on December 27, 1714 in Gloucester, England. The youngest of 7 children, he was born in the Bell Inn, where his father, Thomas, was a wine merchant and innkeeper. His father died when George was 2, and his widowed mother Elizabeth struggled to provide for her family. Because he thought he would never make much use of his education, at about age 15 George persuaded his mother to let him leave school and work in the inn. However, sitting up late at night, George became a diligent student of the Bible. A visit to his mother by an Oxford student who worked his way through college encouraged George to pursue a university education. He returned to grammar school to finish his preparation to enter Oxford, losing only about 1 year of school. Whitefield was an astounding preacher from the beginning. Though he was slender in build, he stormed in the pulpit as if he were a giant. Within a year it was said that his voice startled England like a trumpet blast. At a time when London had a population of less than 700,000, he could hold spellbound 20,000 people, at a time at Moorfields and Kennington Common. For 34 years his preaching resounded throughout England and America. In his preaching ministry he crossed the Atlantic 13 times, and became known as the Apostle of the British Empire. In the late spring of 1740, a weary group of Moravian missionaries from Georgia arrived in Pennsylvania as working guests of Whitefield. Sailing to Philadelphia in Whitefield's sloop, the Savannah, the Moravians were looking for a new place to pursue their missionary activities. Though the original Moravians who arrived in Nazareth with George Whitefield found their welcome short-lived, their persevering brothers, sisters, and descendants built a successful town there. Today, Whitefield's 3.5-story limestone building houses the Moravian Historical Society. Open to the public, the Whitefield House contains a large collection of Moravian instruments, textiles and clothing, household goods, Native American artifacts, and paintings by John Valentine Hite, whose religious canvases and portraits were used by Moravians as visual aids to their ministry.
Currently, the Moravian Historical Society uses the building as its historical museum, administrative offices, and gift shop. So, the connections between Moravian Bethlehem and Moravian Nazareth are more clearly understood as viewed through the man George Whitefield, and through the handsome structure built in his honor and his name here in the town of Nazareth.